Hello everyone, and welcome to The Impossible. In this clip, we're going to go over ways that you can prepare mentally and physically during times of involuntary suffering, times of hardship, or merely moments that seem to be dragging you down. What can you do to push yourself forward in those times?
And we discussed that pretty heavily with your cancer journey. And I'd like to then kind of transition that to once you've accepted this failure, once you understand that, like, hey, this is my responsibility, I'm going to grow from this situation, I'm going to assume the power from this situation over the situation, how do you then look up and see that world of potential that lies out there? Because I think that's a really critical, it's a crucial part of the process, but I think it's extremely challenging as well. When you feel like you're at the lowest of lows that you can be as a human, how do you go from that kind of rock bottom place to look up at the stars and say, I'm meant to go there?
There are two ways that I found myself looking up in the stars. First was in a physical sense, in that I carried myself, as you said, accepting responsibility from those moments of involuntary suffering, taking responsibility and realizing that you are not who your mind is telling you that you have become. It's first just a weight off your shoulders. It really can. It can bring you to your knees, and in a very good way. That realizing that you can hold yourself accountable for how you've been behaving and feeling, and do something extremely positive with it after going through so much negativity. And for me, physically, it was giving myself constant reminders that there was a path forward while looking forward. Because looking back in those moments had caused a lot of pain, it would cause a lot of just flashback after flashback, like memories that were just not okay, not. It's a better way to put them. Obviously, look, when you're going through cancer treatment, there's a moment, there's a time and a place to reflect back upon where you had been and what you were going through. But when I was looking up towards the stars, kind of questioning the universe and what I could do to get out of this rut that I was in, it was very much put the blinders on for a moment. Just, for a day, for a few days, for a week, for a few weeks, maybe even longer. Let's put some blinders on and just keep our gaze forward. Mm-hmm. Keep our mind and body focused on something that is just forward moving. Mm-hmm. And if you stop, if you have a setback, I think even then you need to continue with that mindset of just looking forward. So an example to be able to use was I would write down, and because journaling was a huge part of this transformation for me, at least. So physically, I would help myself by journaling and putting down and writing down sort of these feats that I had accomplished every single day. And as we've discussed many, many times before, and we'll continue to discuss, having as many trophies as you can put on a shelf is simply just going to be more and more and more. There's going to be more room for you to understand that these trophies mean something, and the more that you can have up there, the better, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so journaling, writing down these little feats that I would make, or that I would accomplish throughout the days, was really, really helpful for my body to continue to move forward, because not only one was I literally moving. I was training. I was training. I was working, and I was wanting to put my body through a little bit of voluntary suffering to counteract and to balance from all the involuntary suffering I had experienced during chemo. Because one thing physically that really caused me much pain, but also a lot of divisiveness with myself, was the inability to move while you're on chemo, the desire to just lay there, and the hope that you don't have to feel whatever you're feeling in that moment, and the sort of disconnectum that occurs when you're on chemo, especially the heavier chemo, like especially the bone marrow transplant. That chemo regimen was utterly insane, and so there were days that I was just sitting there hoping for the day to end, and then I could get into the next day, and then hoping for that day to end so that I could get into the next day, and so that I could get into the next week. And so when it came down to this transformation, and in the physical sense, continuing to move, because a body in motion tends to stay in motion, I wanted to keep myself in, firstly, noting down what I was accomplishing throughout the days, and these were things that were fairly menial. For the majority of them would be doing the laundry, cleaning this, moving that, helping somebody with this, helping somebody with that. Those were a lot of feats. Like I would try to help Grandpa with a few things, or this or that. And so you write these things down, and you're like, okay, well, I accomplished quite a bit today. And then, so I'm able to keep my body moving by realizing the potential of what movement can mean, though I state that it's menial in the short-term sense, but in the long-term sense, you do that day after day after day after day after day, it's going to compound into something absolutely incredible for you, because then you're going to look and you're going to go, yeah, this is how you life. This is what you're supposed to be doing, you know? Because I for me personally, I lived such an up and down roller coaster kind of life before I was diagnosed. And so engaging within that accountability and responsibility for self was mightily important in the physical sense as well as the mental sense. And in the mental sense, the transformation was made possible when, as I'm looking up towards the stars, I put myself in that position of visualizing who and where and what I was to become in 6 months' time, in 1 year time, 1 year's time, and so on and so forth. And putting that mental picture together is mightily important, because, you know, when you picture yourself in the future, I really hope that you're not an individual that sees that future version of yourself in a rough situation. I'm really hoping that you're not engaging in practices that, when you see yourself, it is this human being that has not evolved, that has not progressed, that has not accomplished feats that you have dreamt of taking on and achieving over the past 6 months, year, 10 years, or, you know, for as long as you could remember. So when that when the responsibility of building up the mental sense and preparedness and ultimately achievement for the future is just simply looking towards the stars, looking towards something that is just incredibly bright, that being the future, and that being yourself. And that comes through setting goals that are not only there to entice you to do better on the daily, but also that scare you just a little bit, that frighten you just a smidge, because, and this is something that I have a lot of experience with, because the goals that I had placed upon myself back a long time ago when I was in university were goals that were okay. And when I would achieve, I'd come to achieve most of them, not all of them. If I would have achieved all of them, I would be in a music school right now. I clearly am not. And so, but the ones that I had achieved, it was great to achieve them. But even the ones that I hadn't because of just life occurring, I think they didn't scare me enough to really motivate me to just pursue them until it was too late. And that too late was 4.5 months before I was diagnosed with cancer. And I was diagnosed with cancer, involuntary or not, but certain life choices in the previous year leading up to that certainly would have been avoided if I had not made them, and thus I could be in music school right now. Like, I may not even be here at the moment, but I'm very thankful to be here because I think, and I know that the individual that I am now, I'm so extremely thankful for this Austin coming to fruition and the evolution of which I've gone through over the past 3.5 years. I don't want to say it couldn't have happened in any other way, but I don't think it could have happened in any other way. I know it couldn't have happened any other way, for a literal sense, but also kind of figurative as well. I would assume that this Austin would not have been here if I would have went through those, years in music school and so on and so forth. So, in the mental sense, accepting responsibility and accountability, looking towards the future with in setting goals that are not only a bit abrasive for the individual that you are in that moment, but also in something that entices you, that incentivizes you to move forward and to say, like, hey, I accomplished this, and this is just like that dopamine rush is incredible, especially when you accomplish feats. Not only if you have a long-term goal that you kind of accomplish early, but like just accomplishing some of the bigger goals that do have that little bit of anxiety that's put to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you accomplish those, it is just the most incredible feeling. Like that, not only the rush, but the sense of achievement where you have surrounded yourself in which that goal has given you the environment and the character and the evolution and the evolution of you having gotten to that point not only gives you the appreciation for putting yourself in that situation that is so uncomfortable, and well, the level of uncomfortableness is dependent upon your willingness to challenge yourself, but the ability to have gotten to that goal in the first place, having that pathway that may have been extremely arduous or maybe not have been as arduous as you may have assumed it to be, just makes it so much better. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out that clip. If you want to watch the full-length episode, click here. And if you want to catch more of this type of content, more of this idea, more of this mentality and this mindset, please click in the description the link to our school where you can engage with others who are also pursuing the impossible. So thank you for watching, take care, and as always, be impossible.